Are you an ambitious girly? You're killing it at your career, you're on top of your fitness, you have friendships coming out of your ears for days, and you have all the spiritual practices to match. On the outside, it seems like you've got everything, but on the inside, you feel like there's something missing, like there's this pit, empty feeling in your stomach when you don't have that relationship or partner. Maybe this irrational fear is coming through that you're going to die alone. Maybe you're dating or in relationship and you'll find yourself becoming this anxious mush and having mini panic attacks in the car when you don't hear from them, when you're not receiving those good morning texts, you're not being able to focus on your career and your business until you hear from them. And when you do, you're over analyzing those texts. You're feeling panicked when your partner takes too long to respond, or if you're noticing a shift in their body mood and you're wondering if something is off, thinking that maybe one day they will leave you for someone else. Chances are, if you're feeling all of this, wherever you are in your love life, that you're experiencing something called relationship anxiety. And this can be exhausting. But know that you are not alone, and relationships can be this place of joy and peace and not anxiety and fatigue. I want you to know that if you are experiencing relationship anxiety, that there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken and you're not too much or too needy or too sensitive or too dramatic. I know how this feels. You can feel so alone in this experience because maybe you're feeling ashamed to talk to people about what you're going through. Maybe you have done, and the responses have been just get over it or don't feel like that, which is quite unhelpful and unproductive. Well, the good news is that you're not alone. There are many people who have come together in the relationship rehab to heal and manage our attachment wounds and relationship anxiety. You can do this and it doesn't have to control you. So this is what we're going to go through in this episode at the relationship rehab. It's really taking you through what relationship anxiety actually is. So if you're in this space where you've noticed anxiety patterns in the past or it's happening for you in the present, maybe you're afraid to date again and to trust, or the relationship anxiety you feel is around the fear of never finding anyone again, then this episode is for you. This is what we are going to break down today. What it actually is, why it happened, and what are those signs to look out for, and most importantly, those practical tools and strategies that you can take away from this episode so you can start to feel more calm and secure in love. But before we begin, if you are someone who is like, yes, 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 this is me, I noticed this in myself, and you want to dive deeper into understanding and managing your attachment wounds and relationship anxiety, healing that anxious attachment style for good, we have a upcoming free masterclass on Sunday, February 16th, called Anxious to Anchored: How to Become Securely Attached in Relationships. And together we are going to take you on a journey of how you can go from being anxious and needy and overwhelmed with irrational thinking and feelings to feeling calm, anchored, and secure and confident in your dating and relationships. I'll be sharing insights, my own personal story, and a clearly defined roadmap for you to follow. So join us. It is absolutely free on Sunday, February 16th. The link is in the show notes. So let's begin the episode, How to Manage Relationship Anxiety. Welcome to the Relationship Rehab Podcast. I'm Sammy, a certified breakup and relationship coach, attachment specialist, former love addict, and spiritual junkie. This podcast is for you, the hopeless romantic who loves to love, and a safe space for us to explore and heal our attachment trauma, broken hearts, and love addictions. Together, we are on a mission to become the love of our own lives so we can have successful, healthy, secure relationships with others. So if you're ready to create a life and love beyond your wildest desires, you're in the right place. Your journey towards becoming more secure in love and life starts now. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the Relationship Rehab channel and podcast. I am Samantha, your attachment trauma specialist and relationship coach. Now, you may have noticed that I didn't release an episode last week because
If you're listening to this in real time, I have been traveling and settling in the country of Nepal. If you haven't visited this country, please put it on your bucket list. It is such an incredible, beautiful country. I've been here 5 times now and I can't get enough of it. I'm currently in the capital city of Kathmandu, and next week I'm going to be moving to an area called Pokhara to do my yoga teacher training, which is super exciting. And I'm just really enjoying my time here in the capital city, in the chaos of Kathmandu. It's so infused with spirituality, and the people are amazing. The food is incredible. I always feel so comfortable when I come here. So, today's episode, though, is probably one of the most important ones that I will ever record. And that's why I really wanted to take my time with it and not rush it just to get an episode out. And it is about feeling unsure about your relationship. Now, this could be a relationship that you've been in for a while or someone that you're dating that's new, but I want to talk to those people that may have or have done a lot of work already on their attachment style and trauma, and they have been on a mission to really cultivate and create and attract this healthy, secure relationship, and they have finally have achieved that. They've finally got this person in their life that makes them feel safe and calm. They're consistent, they're communicating, they're ticking all the boxes, they're being everything that we have ever wanted, but we're feeling unsure when we're doubting the relationship and we're feeling overwhelmed and confused about what's happening. This is everything that we've ever wanted. Why am I not super excited and living my happily ever after that I thought I would? And unfortunately, the reality being, when we are healing attachment trauma, and it is a journey, it is not a quick fix, it is not a beginning, middle, and end. Sometimes it is not all sunshine, daisies, and roses, and we will start feeling this way. This episode was prompted when an old client of mine, back a couple of years, we were doing the work together on healing your anxious attachment because she kept attracting emotionally unavailable, avoidant men who treated her like dirt, who was inconsistent, not respectful, borderline abusive, really, and just not being that person that she really deeply craved. And she was all in. She really did the work on herself and became secure in herself. And she was finally ready to start dating again, to start trusting again, and really calling that person. She messaged me the other day and she's like, Sammy, guess what? I finally have this healthy, secure relationship that I've been wanting for years so desperately. But being able to move from that space of desperation to detachment, finally, he has come into my life in the most easiest way. And it's great, but having these feelings of doubt, uncertainty, not feeling sure about this person, and it doesn't feel comfortable because I've been wanting this for so long and it's not what I thought it was going to be. I need your help. So we had a big conversation about this, and it really prompted me to make a whole episode because I've been through it as well. When I first got into the healthy, secure relationship that I'm in now and the one previous before, I remember both scenarios feeling doubtful, feeling like this doesn't feel familiar, and I'm having to really readjust my thinking, my being of being in this relationship and feeling quite overwhelmed. So I want to talk to that person today. If you are that person, don't fear. We are going to talk about it all through together, what's going on, and seeing if I can support you in understanding if you are in a place of settling or sabotaging. Either or could be a possibility when we are in a relationship that feels safe, secure, calm, whether we are settling or sabotaging it. And I just want to say that sometimes it's pretty normal to have doubts and to feel unsure about a relationship. So I don't want you to freak out. Okay, I want you to be patient with yourself and take some time, take a big deep breath. because we might be freaking out right now thinking, is this it? Is this our person? I don't know what's happening. I don't have these crazy butterflies that I'm being used to. I don't feel ecstatic all of the time. If anything, maybe I'm feeling a little bit bored. Maybe I'm feeling that this is a little bit too easy, too comfortable. And of course, we're going to feel this way because we haven't had those secure role models growing up. Maybe, just like myself, we haven't had parents that had a secure relationship with each other. We haven't observed what it's like for two adults to come together and have healthy love and healthy communication and healthy boundaries. Maybe we don't know what it feels like to be in a healthy relationship. We're so used to being in toxic, unhealthy, abusive relationships. If that's your pattern, this is going to feel like new territory. So please be gentle with yourself during this process and don't react to any of these unfamiliar sensations or panic or anxiety. And we've got this. We're in it together. You might be feeling like, what if I'm making the wrong decision? What if I'm making the wrong choice? And now we're in a new different type of anxiety of, what if I make the wrong decision? And this could be coming from a space of not fully building up that self-trust within. Again, totally understandable when we have lived our lives from an anxiously attached place, having that anxiously attached system and trauma within. We don't typically have the self-trust and self-autonomy and full access to our intuition. There still might be some blockages there. There might be still some, whether we can trust what we're feeling, because we haven't been able to trust what we're feeling in the past, or we've been made to feel that our instinct, our intuition is not something that we should follow. We should follow logic. We should follow intellectual decisions, which then puts us in a place of overthinking, over intellectualizing, and overwhelming ourselves with trying to make sense of what's going on. Again, totally normal to do that, and that's what we're here for. But we're here to clear those blocks as well, so we can really tap into the intuition and not the fear and the anxiety. We need to be able to remove that so we can access it. And like I said, I'm also speaking from personal experience. When I got into a relationship that felt safe and secure with a man who adored me, who loves me, who is being everything that I could have ever wanted, everything that I've been dreaming of, all of a sudden, because there was no fireworks and crazy intensity. Of course, there's some intensity, but not like this explosive intensity where I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating. All these things that I have been made to believe I'm supposed to feel if I'm in love, thanks to the conditioning that I went through, but also the movies and the music that we've been watching. Am I right? So it's a whole retraining and a relearning. And I remember sitting with those doubts being like, am I settling or am I sabotaging? I don't really know the difference, and I need someone, I need something, I need some help, some guidance, some support on this. I couldn't really find anything back then that was really helpful because it was very generic. Of course, there's things out there online, but I couldn't find anyone speaking about it through an attachment trauma lens. And this is why I'm creating this episode, because I'm coming from that space. This is not a general episode that is dominantly targeted towards those with a more secure attachment. This is if you have been healing insecure attachment trauma. So like I said, it is totally normal to feel unsure in your relationship because it doesn't feel familiar. And if you are in a space right now in your relationship where it might even be going through a patch where it feels a little bit boring, it feels a little bit mundane, it doesn't feel exciting, this may be where you're starting to doubt if this is the person for you. Maybe they said something or did something and you're thinking, oh my God, they're not perfect. We might be starting to have these doubts. And the thing is, if we then start to go looking for advice and support from people that don't get it, that don't get the attachment trauma that we have been working through, they may give us unhelpful advice like, just listen to your gut. Your gut will know. But the thing is, yes, the intuition may live in the gut, but so does fear. Fear also lives in the gut. So sometimes we have difficulty accessing that gut response, that instinct, because fear is currently being activated in this space. They may tell you that, well, if you're having doubts or if you're unsure, then it's not right for you. Again, not really the case, because we are in something that feels unfamiliar. We may be in a space of sabotaging ourselves right now. So receiving advice like, if you're feeling unsure, then it's not right for you, or you should just know. So if you don't know, then it's not right. This is very black and white thinking, and this is not the way to go. Relationships are complex. There's a lot of gray areas and complexities when it comes to human beings. So be able to remove yourself from that type of advice and come back to strengthening your intuition and empowerment in order to make the decision. Nobody can make this decision for you. All we are here to do is to give you the appropriate information, maybe tell our story, which is our story and not yours, so you can be able to get everything you need to be in a space of making an empowered decision. So this is what I'm going to say right off the bat is, do not make a decision when you are in a place of emotional reaction. Do not make a decision when you are in fear, in anxiety, in overwhelm, out of a reaction to something that has come up. Be able to give yourself some time and space to think, to be, to feel into these feelings. Don't panic. Don't worry about them too much. Don't feel like you have to make a decision right away. A lot of us are like this, am I right? Where we don't want to sit in the discomfort. We just want an answer. We just want to know. We just want to move forward. We want to know if this is our person or not, especially if we're dealing with that biological clock within us. We're getting older. We want to be able to make sure that we are with the right person. Life doesn't work that way. And when we are in a space of rushing, of panicking, of desperation, of overwhelm, we cannot make the right decisions for ourselves, and we may make a decision that we might later regret. So this is a big complex decision. Give yourself that time and space to think it through. If there is no red flag warning that you need to leave, or if there's no alarms ringing that this person is not healthy, this person really isn't right for you, if it's clear as day, then follow that. Absolutely. But maybe you are in this space where there is nothing wrong. There's nothing that you can really grasp tangibly, where you think, this is why I know the relationship's not right for me. If you're in that space, give it time. And stop focusing on the partner and a relationship so much. See if you can come away from that as we're talking, as you're listening to this episode. See if you can come away on putting all the focus on your partner or that person and the relationship right now. And let's see if we can start to get back in tune with you. Bring that focus back on you.
I'm interrupting this episode to ask you a question. Have you taken our relationship archetype quiz yet? If you haven't and you want to know more about your attachment style, this is the quiz for you. All you have to do is answer 10 simple questions, and that will take you to your result to find out what archetype you are, whether you're the mountain, the wind, the sun, or the ocean. So to get started for free, click the link in the show notes below, and don't forget to let me know what archetype you are as well. All right, let's get back to the episode.
All right, so let's dive into a little bit about why we sabotage. If you may think that you are leaning more into the sabotaging camp, that I think this is what's happening. This is why. Again, like I said, we're not used to this dynamic. It feels unfamiliar. It's not triggering those childhood core wounds that we may have within. It's not lighting that fire of anxiety within us that we've become used to. In our past, we have had relationships and partners where they have ignited so much anxiety. We have been flooded with cortisol and dopamine and serotonin. We've felt high on drugs in the past with our relationships. And even though we know on a conscious level, we don't want to go back there, right? Because it's just chaotic. There's so many ups and downs. It's not sustainable. There might be a little bit of us, just a little bit of us that might think, Am I never going to feel that again? Because that felt good. We're going to be honest with ourselves here on this episode. We're all about being honest with ourselves. I know that I had that thought of like, am I never going to feel that overwhelming surge of lust and desire for someone where I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't focus? Of course, on a conscious level, I don't want that. But let's just make some room for that subconscious part of us that might be mourning the way that we used to be in our relationships. So now, because we are being presented with someone who is giving us a stable foundation built upon consistency, clear communication, and honesty and teamwork, we might be thinking, what the hell is this? I've never received this before, and I don't know if I can trust it. I don't know if I can fully lean into it. I'm feeling afraid of it because, again, it doesn't feel familiar, but maybe I'm not feeling worthy of receiving this. Maybe there's some unworthiness wounds still activated and open. I know for sure this was the case for me, where my partner was showering me with love and I was just throwing it back in his face because it just didn't feel comfortable to receive. And then I started to subconsciously sabotage in the way of like, what are you doing? This is giving me the ick. You're being too nice. You're being too much. I can't handle this. This is too overwhelming. I can't receive this amount of love because I've never been able to, I haven't expanded my capacity to receive this amount of love. Or maybe you're in this space of where it's feeling a little bit boring and mundane, and now you're starting to think maybe you're settling, doubting the connection itself. If your partner or person is in a space in their life where they are feeling a little bit stressed, overwhelmed in their personal life, and you're like, I don't know if this is right. And the way that we will start to sabotage is, well, like I said in my example, throwing it all back in their face, projecting our unworthiness onto them, projecting that wound that we might not be good enough or important enough to receive all of this. We might be testing them. If we really feel, if we're having consistent thoughts that this person is not right for us and we want to break up with them, even though they're showing up for us in this wonderful way of all the ways that we've always wanted them to show up or have someone show up for us. And now we're starting to test that. And we're starting to pick out the flaws. We're starting to create drama. We're starting to find reasons as to why this person's not good enough for us, because that little voice in our subconscious mind is telling us that it's not familiar. Our subconscious mind doesn't like unfamiliarity because it's not safe. The way that our program has been wired from childhood is to keep us safe, and anything that doesn't feel familiar to that programming within is not safe, and that voice is going to start to sabotage us and within that relationship. For example, I said to my partner a while ago, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, it still comes up from time to time. And it's not about being perfect. It's not about having this happily ever after. Like I said, relationships are all about failure and growth and learning and working together through these obstacles, these ebbs and flows, these ups and downs. And everything was fine, but I was having these intrusive thoughts of doubt and is this it? And is this the person for me? It was all intrusive. It was all coming from a place of sabotage. And I remember when we had our conversation in the evening, it just came out of nowhere. It felt like I said, you're not making me a priority. And he was like, what? What do you mean? Okay, tell me more. How am I not making you a priority? I want to know. I want to understand. I'm listening. I'm here for it. And it was in that moment I felt so bad because I knew it was sabotage. And I apologized and I said, it's not what I really think. I don't know where that came from. I still think I'm in a space sometimes of sabotage because I'm having these thoughts, these doubts, and he was available to listen to it all. So sometimes we don't want to come to our partner because we don't want to hurt them by saying that we feel unsure, because we feel like if that person came to us and said to us that they're feeling unsure, oh my God, that would send us spiraling. Again, maybe we've received this generalized advice online that if someone's not sure of you, walk away. Like they need to be sure of you from the absolute beginning. But that's not taken into account trauma, attachment trauma that we have all been through. So, how can we create space for uncertainty, knowing that it's not something that's personal towards us, it's something that's going on with that other person, that they are going through some inner turmoil or doubt right now because they may want to sabotage it. Another generalized advice that we may have received online is do not settle for less. This has put people in a place of expecting 100% from people. Like if there is something like a minor flaw, then we are afraid that we're settling for less. This type of advice is almost supported and encouraged people to set their standards so high that it is impossible to meet. Of course, have high standards for yourself and others, but when do we draw the line where we start to pick apart other people and we start to see normal flaws and think human things that other people go through as a red flag? This has been thrown about so much in this industry, like red flag, red flag, red flag, because maybe deep down the root of that behavior is that you're feeling afraid because you want to keep people at a distance. Maybe you're afraid to trust again. You've been so burnt in the past that your heart is hardened. And it's very difficult to soften your heart. You're very afraid to be vulnerable, to drop those barriers, to allow someone in again, just in case they hurt you. So we start to test them. We start to see if they can withhold all of our mess and all of our triggers, to see if they are going to stay. And then when they leave, if they leave, I apologize, if they leave, we're like, oh, I knew it. I knew they couldn't handle me. Oh, I guess I'm just too much. And we start to validate ourselves in these limiting beliefs, where if we can soften our heart for ourselves, first and foremost, we're being too hard on ourselves in this day and age as well. And we are able to differentiate the difference between having sustainable high standards to impossibly high expectations of others. Because another thing about these high expectations, they're blocking intimacy. If you have a fear of intimacy, this is going to be more for the fearful, avoidant individual, because intimacy feels frightening and it feels like it puts you in a space of feeling powerless and vulnerable. We may almost punish people for not living up to our expectations and our standards. We may drop them. We may cut them out of our lives. We may say to ourselves, I can't trust this person because they're not showing up for me in the way that I want them to show up for me. And sometimes it could be the littlest of things. I have seen it in my clients and myself where we want our needs met a certain way. Maybe it's the way that we want to be hugged. We want to be fully embraced for at least 10 seconds because we know that that's going to make us feel held, safe, and supported, at least for the time being, until we need our bucket filled up again by this person. But maybe they're just not in a space where they can really give us this engulfing hug, or maybe it's just not in their nature. And we are then like, oh, this is not our person because they're not hugging us in the way that we want to be hugged. Of course, if it's so important to you to be hugged in the way that you want to be hugged, then this isn't the person for you. But can we drop the barriers a little bit and be like, okay, how are they showing up for me? How do they show me love? Of course, we all have a duty to our partner to understand how we want to be loved, to do our best to meet that person on the way that they want to be loved without self-abandoning ourselves. For example, my partner and I were joking about this the other day. His love language is acts of service, right? And if he had it his way, I would be doing everything for him because that's how he feels loved. I would be cooking for him every day. I would be doing all these little acts of service, like doing the shopping, etc. And when I do acts of service and I do it from a place where it feels good, I want to love him in this way. So I make sure that I make the effort. I can see the result and it makes me feel good, and it's reciprocated fully as well. Like he also makes the effort to make sure that I feel loved in the way that is aligned with my love language. But I'm not about to be like, okay, now he wants me to love him in these specific ways. He wants me to cook this specific thing all the time. Okay, I have to do it. That's self-abandonment. So I know I'm going off on a tangent here as well, but sometimes we can sabotage ourselves when we say that our needs are not getting met in a specific way. Not that our needs are not getting met at all. That's a whole different episode, which I have here on the podcast. But if it's not being met in a specific way. Okay, let's balance the books and talk a little bit about why we might be settling. And while we're going on this journey together on this episode, just taking a moment here to remind you to always check in with yourself, with your body. When you're receiving this information, when you're in a state of consumption, always check in with your body. How do you feel when you're hearing this information? Does it feel true to you or not? And this is going to give you a lot of clues into where you feel like you're at in this space right now. Okay, why we might be settling. What may be coming up is that you're afraid to be alone, that there's a fear there of being single, of being alone, of dying alone, of growing old alone. We all have it from time to time. Everybody has it. But how too much to the capacity where it is running your life, running your decisions, and running you into the arms of someone who is not right for you. Maybe we're telling ourselves that, just because this person is safe and secure, consistent and lovely and nice, that we should be grateful, that we should be in relationship with them because we should choose them. This is what I've been doing the work for, right? To have someone like this in my life, I should be grateful. If you're in that space, just notice if it's coming from a place of lack, not believing that there's nothing like this out there anymore. I see this a lot with people as well. Like there's no men or women out there that are emotionally mature, that are on my level. I found someone who is, I should be grateful. I should just go for it. And maybe we're gaslighting ourselves in this way. I see this a lot with women and men, of course, that have been subjected to relational abuse in the past, myself included. And now someone's coming along and loving us and caring for us and doing everything for us and being this wonderful person. And we want to hold on to it because we're so scared that if we let it go, we might fall back into those old patterns and toxic cycles and abusive relationships. So we need to hold on to this person. Start to notice the words that you're using, even your internal words, meaning your thoughts. Are you using words like should, need? Because this is all clues and evidence that you're putting yourself in a place of settling because you're fearful of being alone or falling back into old patterns. Maybe you're not having these conversations with your partner or settling because you're afraid to hurt them. Maybe you know deep down that this person is not right for you. You can't quite put your finger on it yet. Give it time, give it space. But the dominant thing that's coming up for you right now is that you just feel bad. You feel bad, you don't want to hurt them. They're such a nice guy. And maybe I should just wait it out and see how it goes, which is great. But sometimes people will stay in this space for years. I had a client a while back who this was their reality, where they ended up marrying someone they knew deep down was not right for them, but he was a nice guy and he supported her financially and emotionally and was all the things. But years later, she's coming to me now because unfortunately she has found another lover outside of her marriage and cheated on her husband and was feeling so guilty and ashamed and bad for that. She knew that her experience has been one of a buildup of resentment. She was starting to feel irritable. She didn't want to be around her husband anymore, but she didn't want to hurt his feelings. But what we end up doing is hurting them even more if we don't address it. So just pay attention to how you're feeling in your body. If you're feeling in a space of feeling irritable, when you see their name coming up on your phone, you're like, oh, Like, I just don't have the capacity right now. If it's one of dread, irritability, and resentment, these are all clues that it may be you may be in a space of settling as opposed to sabotaging. And just because they're a lovely, wonderful guy or girl doesn't mean that they're the right person for us. If anything, they're showing us that there are so many amazing people out there. And this is not the only human being that can be that person for us. Now, for the last part of this episode, I'm just going to summarize some things for you to be able to support you in the space, give you some prompts, some questions that you can ask yourself or even write down, and we'll start to talk it through with a trusted person, a therapist, a coach, someone that you can really trust will be able to be non-biased or give you generalized advice, but just to listen and support you through this process. So first of all, to summarize, I really do believe that relationships are built, and we are not to fall into relationships that we feel like we're just heavily and over heels in love with. That's not the secure, healthy foundation that we want. It does take time to build, and it takes choosing as well. Choosing to be in a relationship with someone, choosing ourselves, choosing them, and choosing commitment. But on the other hand as well, we also don't want to put ourselves in a space where we are settling and feeling like we need to, we have to, we should be in this space just because. Okay, so the first thing is to do, again, check in with your body. Are you in a space of feeling calm, safe, supported? Or are you in a space of feeling contracted and irritable? How do you really feel in this relationship? A really good exercise for you to do here is to sit face to face with your partner, or stand face to face with your partner and really look at them. What do you feel when you look at them? Look at their face. Is it one of resentment, of discomfort, of disinterest, not being attracted to them? Or is it a softening? Is it a calming feeling? So just notice in your body what you're feeling. If you're settling, you might feel this irritability, a lack of interest, low-level resentment, that there's no real excitement there. Of course, we're not looking for explosive excitement, but there needs to be some excitement. When you see their name coming up on your phone, to be excited to talk to them. When they're coming over, to be excited to welcome them. If you're not excited about this person or the relationship, but you're staying because it's better than being alone, and you're not fully yourself, you're not your full highest version of yourself, and your light is being dimmed in some way, you're abandoning certain parts of yourself just to be in this relationship. If you're in a space of sabotage, you might notice anxiousness, restlessness, even though nothing is wrong. You might be in a space that you're just waiting for something to happen because, again, we're feeling unworthy of receiving this, and it's going to leave eventually one day. And their consistency, their kindness, their emotional availability is making you uncomfortable and is questioning the whole thing. So are you in a space of just not being interested and you're disconnected, or are you really afraid of receiving something that you've never had before? Number two, are you lacking attraction or activation? If you're settling, you may not be actually attracted to them. You may not actually admire or respect them deeply. The connection feels lukewarm, like there's no real intellectual or emotional or sexual stimulation, and you stay because they're just checking the right boxes. If you're in a space of sabotage, it may be a lack of activation. Like I said, you're not being triggered, you're not being activated in your nervous system, and you are attracted to them. There's attractiveness there, there's stimulation there, there's chemistry there, but something inside you wants to run. And maybe you're in a space of just craving excitement, this push-pull dynamic, and their stability feels too easy and too predictable. So ask yourself, am I genuinely just not drawn to them? Or am I mistaking chaos for passion? Number three, a very important one. Are you missing core compatibility, or are you just feeling unworthy? Sometimes we may be settling for someone that doesn't feel right because we're not aligned in our values, in our lifestyles, in our goals, in our vision for the future, but you're ignoring them because they're a good person, or you're hoping that maybe something will change. Like, for example, if you're someone who loves fitness and walking and going to the gym and completing marathons, but you're choosing someone who would rather sit on the couch on a Sunday and watch TV and movies, and the last thing you want to do is walk in a forest, but you're hoping because they're a good person and they take care of you, you're hoping that one day they might just go on that walk with you and start to enjoy it out of the blue, because why wouldn't they? Just know that if you're trying to change parts of a person and you're not fully accepting them as they are, as they're being presented to you today, might be in a space of settling. If they're actually aligning with your values, if you share those core values and you want the same things in life, for example, you both want children, or you both want to travel, or you both want to settle somewhere on the beach or by the ocean or in the mountains, and they're treating you well, and everything seems to be lining up in terms of core compatibility, but maybe you don't feel like you deserve this level of ease or consistency, and you start picking out those flaws, that they're not fully perfect, they're nearly perfect, and there's just this one little thing over here that's not compatible, or that you're not enjoying the same genre of movies. So how can I grow old with this person when we can't watch the same types of movies? Might be sabotaging in this way. So ask yourself really important questions. Is this a misalignment in values? Am I trying to change them? Would I still want to be in this relationship if nothing changes? Are we fully aligned in this way? Am I showing up to the relationship as my best and highest self? Does this relationship support me fully? Or am I just scared of trusting something stable? I'll give you an example. In my previous relationship, we were not in alignment with our core values. He wanted to live in a city and he didn't want children. I wanted to live in the country and I wanted children, but I ignored that. He was such a nice guy, and I thought, if maybe things will change, maybe if we start to grow together in this relationship, that he will start to want to have children with me. And I almost made it a challenge to be able to change his mind and change these parts about him so I can feel safer in this relationship. Another one is, can you see yourself with this person in 5 years? Can you imagine having children if that's your choice with this person? Could they be the father or the mother of your children? How do you feel about that? Get into a quiet space and visualize this. Close down your eyes and start to imagine being with this person 5 years from now, 10 years from now, having children, getting married, doing life together with this person. Does it fill you with dread, or does it excite you? Does it make you feel a certain way? If you're settling, you're not going to feel excited to deepen this connection. It's pretty surface level. It's okay for now. Maybe you're waiting to see if something better comes along, because this projection into 5 years, I can't see it because it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like I want to be with this person. I feel like we're just going to hate each other. And the thought of growing together just feels really forced. You're not truly in the relationship. You're just in it for now. If you're sabotaging, you can imagine that it would feel good, but maybe it's difficult to imagine because you don't feel worthy of receiving it, because it feels too vulnerable to be with someone for so long. Maybe you've been hurt in a long-term relationship in the past. You're afraid that if you show certain parts of you, that you will end up being rejected or abandoned in some way. And then the last one is to just really evaluate the relationship climate. Is it truly a two-sided relationship where both people are committed to each other and themselves to do the work, or is it one-sided? Are you living in hope that something will change? Is it one-sided in the point that they are making all the effort and you're just kind of in this space of not feeling sure when they're making so much effort, and now it's making you feel even more bad and even more obligated to stay in the relationship? So evaluate that as well. And my loves, the bottom line is, this is a very confusing, complex, overwhelming space to be. Your nervous system is confused. It's so different. It's a different environment that we're in. And like I said, just really take time with this decision, with these thoughts, with this process, and don't go through it alone. Don't be afraid to ask for help and support from the right people who are going to listen and offer a safe space for you to be completely honest and vulnerable about this, and not someone who is going to give you that advice or that you feel like you need to show up a certain way for, wear a mask for, say certain things for, because you're afraid that they might judge you. Choose the correct people around you to speak to about this. All right, my loves, I will leave it there. But I really hope that this episode has supported you to understand what's happening for you in this process and give you some clarity and tools and questions to really sit with and talk through and think through. As I said, if you do feel like you need further support, professional support, don't hesitate to reach out. Give me a DM on Instagram, find me somewhere and send me a message. And everything's in the show notes, by the way. If you want to get onto my Instagram, Facebook, there's so many different ways you can get in touch with me. And we can come together, we can have a chat about this, and I can support you in this process as well. I also have a free masterclass. If you feel like you are someone who is in the sabotaging space and you really feel like you need to calm down the nervous system, work with any core wounds or limiting beliefs that might still be lingering around, that masterclass will really help you support you to understand your nervous system and your subconscious mind. It's called Anxious to Anchored. The link is also in the show notes. So you can go ahead and check that out as well if you do need a little bit more of an elaboration on the nervous system. All right, my loves. So much love to you, and I will see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much for joining me on the Relationship Rehab podcast. I hope that this episode has supported you in healing, growing, and evolving out of insecure attachment and unhealthy relationship patterns and into safe, authentic love with yourself and others. If you enjoyed the episode, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would just take a second to rate and review this podcast. Every rating and review from you guys counts, as it really helps this podcast to grow so it can reach more people who need to hear this content. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. Take a screenshot of this podcast episode, share it on your IG stories, and tag me at the.relationship.rehab with your biggest takeaway from the episode. I really do love reading them. See you back here next week for another episode on the Relationship Rehab podcast.